Alright, so after a really long time without posting anything to my 0 subscribers, I decided to make this video because I've been studying a lot of things about movies lately, and I feel like something that is really shown off terribly in horror movies, and I also put in thrillers because I know a lot of people are going to hate me if I don't. So we're going to kind of talk about why mental illness is or isn't portrayed correctly in certain movies.
As we walked along the flat block marina, I was calm on the outside, but thinking all the time. So now it was to be Georgie the General, saying what we should do and what not to do, and Dim as his mindless, grinning bulldog. But suddenly I vidded that thinking was for the gloopy ones, and that the omni ones used like inspiration and what bog sends. For now it was lovely music that came to my aid. There was a window open with a stereo on, and I vidded right at once what to do.
So this scene I chose to slow down because this is a really pivotal part in it. If you were paying attention closely to what Alex was saying in his narration, you would understand why he's acting this way. And you don't really have to read too much into it, but I just think it's a very important way. It's a very subtle but important way to display mental illness. So in Alex's mind, he has been betrayed by the Droogs, and so he decides to react with violence because that's the only way he knows how to get back at them. He doesn't use his words like most people would, but instead he viciously attacks them. And a common symptom of mental illnesses is to act with irrationality, and that's how Alex is acting here. His thoughts are running and running and running until he finally just can't take it anymore, and he snaps in a way, and so he reacts with violence, and he harms who he thought were his friends, but now they're betraying him, so he's going to do the same thing to them. It's kind of his eye for an eye, although it technically wouldn't be seen as fair in the minds of many people because, well, they just have taken him out of the ranks. He is really damaging their bodies. But to Alex, this is the only rational way to respond. However, to a neurotypical person, they would definitely not respond like this. And if they did, it would probably be referred to as like a psychotic breakdown or something. I think that A Clockwork Orange really shows a lot of important things about mental illness, and it really teaches a lot of good things about it. And we'll come back to this film later. Split. I did enjoy this movie, however, it does a really bad job of painting people with dissociative identity disorder or multiple personality disorder in a really bad light. This movie does not realistically portray them. As you can see, the main character is turning into a monster right now. He's turning into what they call as the Beast throughout the entire movie. People with any mental illness are not beasts. Having a mental illness is not an evil trait, and the way that this character was brought about in the movie was really bad, and I understand that it was part of a different superhero movie, which I ended up not watching, and I haven't seen the rest of them, but looking at this as a standalone film, as many people do when discussing it, it doesn't do justice or do any favors for anyone suffering from this disease. Despite all the things that Split does wrong, I found one scene that I thought was very right. I forgot about this scene completely, and I only rediscovered it again when I was looking for examples from this film to show in this video, because I do remember this scene as being very dramatic and kind of showing the transformation off a little bit more. But just watch, because what unfolds is very important, and I'm going to talk about it after the clip rolls. scene really important because it shows that she has self-harm scars, and I don't think those are anything to really be like, yeah, like let's see those. But I mean, it shows her true vulnerability, and it shows a symptom of true mental illness. Like, truly in real life, a lot of people do that if they're mentally ill. And I feel like that has a strong contrast to the Beast's, like, crazed look. She's terrified. She's a real person. He is the Beast. He is a monster. He is not truly mentally ill. At least that's what I'm assuming. But regardless, through most of the film, they present him as a mentally ill person when they introduce him to be this Beast, but they never make her look like this. And I think that was really important to show.
I've learned my lesson, sir. I see now what I've never seen before. I'm cured. Praise God.
That line is really important because in reality, mental illnesses, for the most part, cannot be cured. They can be managed, but they can never be fully gone. Of course, there are some exceptions, but in many cases, and in the case of Alex, he's not cured. He's just managing it. And I feel like that is really important to represent in a film.